We're going to take a look at the S&P 500 trend. Is it starting to turn down? We're going to also take a look at some of the leading economic indicators and also support and resistance in the major index funds. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. This is Richard with Wisdom Investor. In our last video, we talked about the possibility of the trend moving down. Of course, the NASDAQ is holding things up right now, and inside the NASDAQ, we've got the Apple computer really holding the NASDAQ technology stocks up. But this is the S&P 500 trend indicator here. You can see at the very top here, starting to show a little bit of move to the downside. Let's look at some of the other indicators on this. Of course, we're going to need to see some selling pressure to the downside. That will be the true test at this point. Our number of stocks above the 200-day moving average starting to drop down below that 60% level. S&P 500 high-low percentage is still holding up over here on the right side. And then this number of stocks and the S&P 500 advanced decline starting to trend a little bit to the downside here. And then we have a number of stocks above the 50-day moving average starting to move lower. Of course, what's holding the S&P 500 up is top 5 stocks in the S&P 500. Let's take a quick look at the top 5 stocks in the S&P 500. The first one here is Apple Computer. Really, Apple's become a defensive stock. Money's going into Apple because people are buying cell phones. And you can see the price of Apple continues to move higher. We also have Microsoft as a number 2 weighted stock in the S&P 500, still holding at the highs, along with Amazon, Facebook, and Google. Looks very much like the NASDAQ 100. Back to the stocks above the 50-day moving average, though, you can see it trending down because many of the other stocks in the S&P 500 are moving down. But those top 5 are holding the price up because they're the heaviest weighted. Let's look at the Conference Board Leading Economic Index. And here we are. We had the latest numbers just come out on that last 12 months here. We are recovering here, but we are in a recession. We're in a recovery stage, but we're still showing a recession. The gray lines here indicates a recession. Here's the same chart with the lines smoothed out a bit. Basically, what I want to show here, typically the leading economic index starts to move down. Typically, it's before a recession. Now, in this case, it all happened at the same time the coronavirus hit. Some of the other latest news here was Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index slows for the second straight month. And jobless claims increased. Jobless claims climbed back above 1 million as recovery in the U.S. labor market slows. If we look at the weekly numbers here, you can see we're starting to creep back up. Not good for the economy. We're looking at the S&P 500 here. We're looking out to the right side here. These are some volume indicators we're looking at, but you can see the volume to the upside starting to tail off with some peaks of selling to come back in. Here's our support and resistance for the SPY, the S&P 500 ETF. And we're holding right at resistance area here on the SPY. Now we do have support down around the 332 area. Right in that area is support if we do start to sell off on the SPY, the S&P 500 Index ETF. We're looking at the IWM Small Caps Russell 2000 ETF. You can see we're starting to break below the first support area. The small caps still seem to be the weakest index fund out there at this point. We're looking at the volume indicators here for the IWM. Again, you can see we're starting to tail off to the downside here. Also, volume to the upside is diminishing quite rapidly. Indicators here, you can see the on-balance volume starting to move down. So small caps showing some weakness. By the way, I'm in Key West, Florida for a few days visiting my daughter and just enjoying the area. We normally are in the Pacific Northwest, but down in Florida. Here's a shot from the beach here in Key West, Florida. They had this real interesting butterfly sanctuary and also had some birds there, but amazing butterflies here for those who look at nature. Here's some butterflies on a live video. You can see them. Here's a flamingo that was in this sanctuary. Real interesting shots here. So I thought I'd just share this to show you what we're up to here for the summer here. Last few weeks of summer vacation.